In mains, you see there are certain, of all the 4 GS papers, if we talk about, consistently in some papers, the marks that I've been seeing of students are relatively low. So they must work on those areas where they feel that they're underconfident, so that these 40 days can be productively utilized to gain confidence over them. One of the most important factor for being invited for personality test is how many questions you attempt, least of being called. So writing 20 questions should be the first priority, because the moment you leave 1 or 2 questions, that already makes you on a negative front. Okay, so writing all 20 questions. Answer script is a communication between the examinee and the examiner. He is not aware about your identity, your academic opulence, nothing he knows. So you have to impress someone by your writing.
Hello dear aspirants, I hope that all of you are doing good. So as less than last 40 days remaining for the examination of UPSC CSE Mains 2024, a lot of stress is getting piled up at your end. So to discuss all the kinds of issues that you might be facing and to get solution regarding the same, I am joined by Amil Sir, who is the faculty of VisionIAS. Welcome sir.
Thank you.
So sir, as less than 40 days are remaining for the examination, what should be the key focus areas that the students should be now onwards going for?
That's a wonderful question. I feel now they should not be venturing into new areas, because that would be counterproductive. And those things that they have been doing, they can go for a very good revision. And in this, since this is the mains part where your aptitude, your skills or writing skills and all would be evaluated, so I would strongly recommend that writing practice, going through the areas that are already familiar, and importantly working upon those areas which they feel they are uncomfortable. Because in mains, you see there are certain, of all the 4 GS papers, if we talk about, consistently in some papers the marks that I've been seeing of students are relatively low. So they must work on those areas where they feel that they're underconfident, so that these 40 days can be productively utilized to gain confidence over them.
Right. So sir, as you have pointed regarding, I think practice and the revision, these are the two key areas. And for that, the strategy will be at most important, like how student will be managing time for the same.
Regarding writing practice, at this stage you have optional, you have general studies. So I think making the right balance between optional and general studies, that will depend upon how you are confident about your optional or GS. So managing time is something very important that can work out through a routine, first thing. Second thing, regarding time management also, it should be more focused on subject specific devotion to the time. For example, if you are having political science as an optional or history as an optional, so already GS paper 1 or for that matter paper 2 gives some edge, so you can work about science and technology, so and ethics, integrity and aptitude. Depends upon your, I think the right thing is at this stage to work on those areas where you are relatively less confident. And for optional thing, that is what you call, which is something which is very very pertinent from the selection point of view. So I think that in those things also, those topics that have been consistently appearing, and those things which have to be integrated with current affairs, I think these things can be focused.
Right. So sir, as you have pointed regarding answer writing, which is a crucial area, right? So sir, how a student will be able to do answer writing in this last 40 days? So can you suggest certain kind of strategy regarding this?
Regarding answer writing, I'll give you something. One of the most important factor for being invited for personality test is how many questions you attempt. So if you see, consistently I come across candidates and selected ones who are actually of the opinion that if you write 20 questions, which I perfectly believe in, then definitely there is a very strong chance at least of being called. So writing 20 questions should be the first priority, because the moment you leave 1 or 2 questions, that already makes you on a negative front. Okay, so writing all 20 questions. Second important thing should be that managing time, because you must be aware about 7 points. So whatever you are doing in your Abhyaas exercise or other, that is actually going to replicate. In fact, most of the time our Abhyaas toppers are also toppers at what you call civil services examination means. So managing time, then writing all the 20 questions. Third important thing, the feedbacks that you are getting and all those things, how you structure those answers, because I perfectly believe that the answer script is a communication between the examinee and the examiner. He is not aware about your identity, your academic opulence, nothing he knows. So you have to impress someone by your writing, and you have to force that person to read your answer scripts. That can be by a very good what you call presentation. So being honest, there is nothing harm in learning. So one can go through the previous year's answer scripts of the toppers. I think that can serve as that can definitely be of some guidance, I feel.
Right. So as you have pointed regarding enriching answers with certain kind of value addition, and one can take insights even from the toppers copies. So now, sir, I think test series and the Abhyaas, which are crucial at this particular last juncture, because they add certain kind of value. Because regarding time management, you have spoken already that completing 20 questions in the stipulated time of 3 hours will be a challenge. So how test series and Abhyaas are going to help an aspirant in managing the same things?
Okay. Abhyas, to of course, is a wonderful exercise that we have been talking about. First of all, it gives you a real feel like real like environment where you write an answer to. That would be replica of UPSC. Second, you get your personalized feedback. So nothing is better than getting a feedback that gives you an insight how you are going upon. So the second thing. Third important thing, within yourself also there is a confidence that while you write an Abhyas GS paper 2, you are feeling confident. You were not that confident in paper 3. Definitely exhibits something that has to be done. One thing I would like to add, which I forgot to mention, that while writing an answer of late, UPSC has been more into dynamic questions. Okay, so which I can talk about many. If I find time, I'll try now. So for example, UPSC these days is asking what is the what you call, for example, there is a federal issue going on related to fiscal federalism. So they may ask a practical question. They may ask a question on secularism, or for that matter, if there is an instability in our neighborhood, how will that impact? So more of a dynamic. So charts, some chart that can be made, some statistics that is not too old but quite something which is from the relevant source, and that is quite recent statistics. Then you can make certain diagrams. I have consistently seen this, that diagrams definitely make an impression. So statistics, charts, diagrams, and then you can go for some quotes. In fact, one of the few students have this habit that they will quote 4 or 5 textbooks which they have not read completely. They just remember few quotes. That gives an impression that you are more of an academic bent and you have a great degree of inclination and understanding. So these things. Now you were talking about Abhyas. So Abhyas, of course, by giving you a personalized feedback, by giving you an opportunity to write a replica of the exam before the exam. Next important thing, that by giving you your marks, you get an idea about what you are enrolled. So of course, Abhyas is a stellar one, I think.
Right, sir. So there is a counter side also to this, that suppose if you are saying that the one who are going to perform well in Abhyas, they are going to get a lot of confidence. But there may be certain aspirants, be it the test series or be it Abhyas, there might be a chance that due to somewhat issues, they might not be able to score that good in those particular exams.
That's a wonderful question,
So
actually.
what a student should be
Just
doing.
appreciate that you're talking about those. So I feel Abhyas is the exercise is conducted 40 days before the mains. So I strongly feel that 40 days are enough to, because I'm sure that if somebody is writing mains, definitely that person has proved mettle at the first stage. So fact is not an issue. So I think 40 days for a student who has already qualified prelims would definitely be a productive thing where they can work upon those areas. And I strongly feel that this exam is something which is, with multiple factors are at play. So even if you're not scoring very good, there have been classroom experiences also where students not scoring in the last 40 days, they have buckled up and they have performed good.
Exactly.
That's a wonderful question, actually.
So, yes, sir. So now, sir, going forward, that less than 40 days are remaining. So there is a crunch of time already available at the student's end. So what can be a bit more like detailed strategy that you want to suggest to the aspirants?
Last 40 days, first of all, I would say that every human mind is a different one. Okay, so there has to be more of a tailor-made solution, because any generic statement, as you very beautifully said about those candidates, is not. But I feel that dividing time between optional, between writing, and between revising, because all the three things are important. Revision is important, writing answers is important, and of course your optional and all those things, adding something is there, although new things must be avoided at this stage. So they can those areas where they are relatively confident, they can just write practice papers in writing answer would be sufficient. Those areas they are relatively underconfident, they can revise more those areas, and it will give them confidence. Third important thing, they with respect to optionals also, I think they must give sufficient time for their, especially those key areas. They can prepare a list of topics which are likely to be asked. Usually what we have seen, that if you, for GS paper 2, if you will be talking about topics which are like Supreme Court celebrating its 75 years, or for that matter topics whichever you have have in internationally related instability, or federalism, especially the fiscal aspect. If you talk questions about office of governor, president rule, you have what you call topics related to CBI, ED, all the questions have been asked, be it CBI, ED, office of governor, president rule, approval of bills, article 200. But questions on fiscal federalism have been relatively less, so that is likely to be. So those areas where now we live in an era of democratization of knowledge, so here is ample of literature available at our disposal. So I think those they can prepare 40-50 topics or whatever number that suits them. The most likely that will match 7 to 8 questions from that would be there. The challenge is when UPSC is asking more of a dynamic question. For example, they asked a question that, do you think Right to Free and Compulsory Education Act is able to incentivize school education in India? So they are not asking about the major provisions to be written as a fact, but how that act has impacted the ground. They asked a question about Gati Shakti Yojana. So more or less their UPSC, especially in the polity pass, they are a bit in a way more shy in asking question from static and more. There was a question I think 5 years back, they asked what are the functions of Finance Commission. So now UPSC is retreating from that style of asking question and asking more of a dynamic question. Even if they are asking about governor, they expect some answers to be written from without mentioning the name or something. So I think current should be dividing certain meticulously highlighting certain topics which are to be covered, preparing notes which I am sure they must be having, going through them would be direct hitting the questions that are more likely to come.
Right, and I think as you are suggesting, the why part need to be highlighted, why something is happening, that is a major area that's UPSC is currently
currently.
Right, sir. So now, sir, as we have discussed a lot regarding academic aspect, but in this last 40 days, some of the non-academic issues that pertains to create certain kind of issues at the students' end, and stress that is getting piled up in this last 40 days is a very crucial aspect which can demotivate students and also bring the confidence down also. So at this juncture, like what all aspects the student should be focusing upon to manage the stress also?
Okay, managing stress, I feel that being honest, right quality of friends definitely make a mark. Okay, those who are productive, those who are into academics first. Second important thing, you must understand that ultimately it is an exam. So there are multiple things across. We just had Olympics and so many winners and failures. So there are many things which are beyond your, so you must, I think, give your what you call best. That is something which is there. Importantly, you must not be bogged down by what others think, because many a time the pressure from the, so I think some sports in the evening, sports which you like, which you are already into, rather than experimenting, which you like, talking to people, friends and family who actually bring joy to you. So being around with people who are more positive in nature, who actually don't judge you by your success, who are quite happy in your company. So happiness itself is something which is important. So I think these things can be done. And importantly, too many hours of vigorous study, I think, should be, it should not be that productive, because sleep shouldn't be compromised, especially before mains. If you sleep well, your quality of answers are definitely going to be better than the person who has not slept. So that gives you an edge. So that is
right. So I think a lot of physical aspect as well as other aspect that will be like relieving your mind, relaxing your mind, that is going to help in the stress management related things. So sir, any last piece of advice to the candidates who are going to appear for the examination?
Last piece, I would say कि this entire examination, from my teaching experience, this is the 9th year, being thousands and thousands, I feel this exam is more about mental endurance. Because I see IITians management, so many students who are academically very rich. So this is about mental endurance. So if you are mentally very fit, your level, your marks is relatively, your performance is going to be better. So please understand this, कि everything is not within human capacity. There are many factors that are, so I think you must be mentally very calm. You must sleep well, and what you call, whatever you have already done, okay, do not experiment new things. Whatever you have done, you just revise them time and again. Believe me, revision is a boring thing. It is said that it is very simple, but it is very tough to be simple. It is very tough to be simple, but revising those things, I think, rather than venturing into new areas. And last thing, that work on your presentation. Sometimes what he call a very simple dish is also presented in a very good way, and that makes an impression. So you can learn, that would be presentation and working, revising those things, being mentally calm, sleep. I think these things would be my message.
Exactly. So control the controllables, and there are some uncontrollable variables that leave it to the
Yes,
the
yes,
calls.
yes. Very good. Yes, exactly.
Yes, sir. So, sir, thank you very much for joining us for this particular today's discussion. And I think students might be getting a lot of insights from this particular conversation.
Thank you, Amil.
Thank you
Fully
again,
thankful.
sir.
Thank you.
So, with this, we came to an end to this particular conversational videos. For more such videos, stay tuned with Vision IAS. Thank you.